In the process, you will succeed. You will also fail sometimes, isn't it? We produce a product and the product is readily acceptable by the customer. That means you have done a good job. You have done a good job. Sometimes what happens, you produce a product with all your best of your abilities. You have produced a product, you have designed a service and you are offering, but still it may dissatisfy your customer because some of the features doesn't conform to the customer's expectation. This is called a failure. So there is a cost associated with the success. There is also a cost associated with your failure, right? And the cost associated with all the activities that contribute to your success are called the cost of good quality. The cost associated with all the activities you did that has finally led to a failure is called cost of poor quality. Say for example, you are having 5% rejection rate. That means every time you produce 100 units, 5 units will get rejected during the quality inspection. Now the failure rate is 5%. The cost associated with the rejection of 5% of the product is a cost of poor quality. The product produced is rejected. The effort put in by your employees is wasted. The time in producing that 5% of the item, that is wasted. And again, you have to redo the rework. There are different ways we are actually exploiting and wasting the resource. So these are all called cost of poor quality. So my point is there are two types of cost exist. One is cost of good quality. Another one is cost of poor quality. Let us see them in the form of a graph. See here, there is a graph. The x-axis talks about the quality level. Imagine you are developing a product. You may not get the desired level of quality, very easily. You may have to go for several rounds of iteration. You design a product, develop it, and see the trial, and then feedback comes, and again you redesign. So many things you do. Gradually, your quality level increases. How are you making sure your quality level is increasing? You, as I mentioned, you capture the customer requirement. That means voice of customer. You also capture the employee requirement. That's called voice of internal customer. And you also you design the product. You review the design, and then you appoint quality engineers, quality inspector to check the product. You do some audit, supplier incoming raw material you are checking, child parts you are checking. There are many things you are doing to make sure your product satisfies the customer. That means fundamentally you are doing two types of activity. Some of your activities are preventive in nature. Some of your activities are appraisal in nature. Some of your activities are preventive. You call it the quality assurance. You are maintaining the ISO management, the quality management system, isn't it? You write SOPs and you conduct reviews. You train your employees. For example, all of you are now attending the training program. This comes under prevention, right? You wanted to be sure that failure doesn't happen. You are trying to give some kind of assurance to your customer. Hey, the people are equipped. The system is in place. The process is in place, and we are as per the standards. So this is called, some kind of assurance. But in spite of your best efforts to prevent a failure, you are still not sure. You will obviously do some checking, isn't it? That's called quality control. You will study some sample item and check whether the products and services are as per the design, as per the plan, everything is happening. So that's called appraisal. So this prevention and appraisal together is called cost of good quality. Initial stages of product development, you have to do more of prevention, more of appraisal. And then if you start doing more prevention and more appraisal, what will happen? The quality level will increase. If you want more quality level, what should you do? You should do more of prevention, more of appraisal. That's the reason why this curve is continuously going up. Hope all of you understand why this curve is having an upward trend. On the other side, you see the another curve. This is called cost of poor quality. The cost associated with the failure. See here, when your product quality is low, it will fail very frequently. And see here, the failures are more in number. As the quality is built continuously, small defects, you are rectifying continuously. You are making your process more and more capable. You are making your design more and more capable. You are making your employees more and more capable. Failure will start coming down. That's how you improve the quality level. And see now the cost of poor quality curve gradually coming down. Nothing but the cost associated with the failures. All right. And now I'm going to combine the cost of good quality and poor quality, and the resulting graph is called total quality cost. It's called total quality cost curve. And if you look at this curve will initially come down and come to a minimum value and then take a turn and start moving up. Because we are combining poor quality and good quality, this curve is behaving like this. Now what I'm interested in, this lowermost point. The lowermost point is the point at which I get some quality. At the same time, the cost associated in reaching that quality level is minimum. What will happen if my cost associated is minimum? Maybe you can try. If the cost associated is minimum, what will happen? My profit will get maximized. So that means at this point, there is a chance that my profit can be at its best. In order to help you understand, let me draw a curve, a revenue curve. Let's say this is your revenue. And what is this curve? This is your cost. Look at the distance between the revenue and the cost curve. Where the distance is very high, you can see, this is revenue curve and the other one is cost curve. And look here, exactly here, the distance between the curve is maximum, indicating that your profit will be at its best at this point. This point is called acceptable quality level or optimum quality level. Meaning, if you improve the product quality beyond this optimum quality level, you are improving the quality at the expense of your profit. Generally, we don't do that. But if there is a situation which is demanding us, for example, our competitors are doing very well, our customers are customer retention rate is going down, probably we will try all this strategy. Otherwise, any organization's goal is to come up to this optimum quality level. Hope it is clear to all of you. Now let us understand little more in deeper about the cost of poor quality, right? If I ask you, looking at my slide, if I ask you whether the iceberg in the slide is visible, I'm sure all of you will say, yes, visible, right? And similarly, when I ask you, are there any failures in your company? Yes, all of you will agree. Yes, there is a failure and the failure rate is 5%. That means generally companies think that the cost of poor quality is 4 to 5% of their revenue, because such failures are visible to them, known to them, they know how to measure, and these are nothing but the rejections, the warranty claims, the repair, the rework, the product recall. Recently, electric vehicles, there is a recall, and Samsung they had a recall. Maggi, they had a recall in 2015, isn't it? 38,000 Maggi packets burnt and 80% market share lost. And Ford had a recall, and the Royal Enfield had recall. Toyota had a recall. After selling several million cars, Toyota recalled all their cars because of the poor design of the floor mat. There were a lot of accidents. So these are all visible failures, right? And when you account them, you can understand it is about 4 to 5% of the sales. Now, if I ask you the question slightly differently, are you able to see the iceberg completely, or you have seen only the tip of the iceberg? I'm sure all of you will agree with me that we have seen only the tip of the iceberg. If you really wanted to see the complete iceberg, you have to uncover the water. I have uncovered the water. Now you can see the iceberg, which was hidden inside the water, is much more bigger than what is visible above the water. Same will be the situation in any company. The problems that are visible, the problems that the company is accounting will only be a small percentage compared to the actual problems and actual failure. Problems and failures are generally hidden in any organization. In order to bring the problems to the surface, in order to make the problems and failures visible and make them accountable, we have to equip our employees. We have to equip our employees to understand what is a defect. We have to equip our employees to understand what is a waste. We have to equip our employees to understand what is a risk. if you allow these three to dominate, waste, defect, and risk, as the risk increases, failure will surely happen. Isn't it? As the risk increases, the failure will surely happen. And similarly, as the defect rate increases, then also no, you cannot survive. Similarly, the waste means no, your inefficient way of working. If you work inefficiently, what will happen? Your operational cost will be very high. That means, your product cost will be high and your profit will be low, and you want that. And all those things, needs to be visualized, needs to be controlled. And this is the best, this is the approach called operational excellence. And let me highlight some of the invisible failures. There are many. I'm only showing, a partial list of invisible failures. Generally, people don't think, these things as failure. For example, longer setup time. Any setup of the machine, if you consume more than 10 minutes, that should be considered a failure. I do not know how many of you will accept with me. Any setup, if you take more than 10 minutes, that activity should be considered a wasteful activity. Lean is teaching that way. The lean philosophy is that. Similarly, longer cycle time, excess inventory, premium shipment, lost OEE, lost sales, waiting, motion, overproduction, overprocessing, customer dissatisfaction, lost market share, failure resolving time, and all of them are invisible forms of failures. If you account all these things, visualize all these things, also include the failure in your accounting, you will realize 20 to 45% of your revenue is burned in the form of cost of poor quality. Why do you want to increase the price? After all, you want to maximize your profit. See here, you have an enormous scope to maximize your profit. Your profit is already in single digit. See, you are seeing the cost of poor quality in double digit. Focus here. This is what Lean Six Sigma is doing, right? And trying to reduce the cost of poor quality and add more value to the customer. This approach is called operational excellence. Lean Six Sigma can beautifully, execute it, beautifully do it. And that is what we are trying to understand in this workshop. If you don't understand all this logic, these waste, defects, and risk will eat away all your profit and you will be left with nothing, right? And so it is a good idea to alert at the earliest point of time. Hope so far all of you are able to comfortably learn from me.